Today's top global developments reflect a world gripped by instability, from environmental disasters and diplomatic standoffs to military escalations and digital scandals. Flood catastrophe, 160 missing, over 100 dead in Texas. Humanitarian disaster continues to unfold in the U.S. state of Texas, where unprecedented flash floods have left entire communities devastated. The death toll has surged to 109, while at least 160 people remain missing, according to Texas Governor Greg Abbott. The catastrophe was triggered by sudden and intense rainfall, which overwhelmed drainage systems and inundated neighborhoods in the middle of the night, leaving many residents with little to no warning. Rescue operations have been hampered by blocked roads and continuing weather threats, as emergency crews struggle to reach remote or cut-off areas. Thousands have been displaced, and power outages have affected critical infrastructure including hospitals, water treatment plants, and communication lines. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, has been deployed, and the National Guard is assisting with rescue and relief efforts. However, as waters slowly recede, the extent of the devastation is becoming clearer, and hopes of finding survivors diminish with each passing day. Environmental experts are warning that such events are likely to become more common due to climate change, as warmer temperatures increase the atmosphere's capacity to hold moisture, leading to more intense storms and flash flooding. Water war looms. India-Pakistan tensions escalate. Tensions between India and Pakistan have reached a new high after India announced the suspension of the decades-old Indus Waters Treaty. This treaty, brokered by the World Bank in 1960, governs the distribution of rivers that flow from India into Pakistan and has long been viewed as a stabilizing force in a volatile region. Pakistan has responded with alarm, warning that the unilateral move could lead to war. Islamabad has accused New Delhi of using water as a weapon, potentially endangering the lives of millions who depend on these rivers for drinking water and agriculture. Pakistan has vowed to take the issue to the International Court of Justice and has called on global powers to intervene. India maintains that the treaty was being violated by Pakistan-backed cross-border terrorism, and argues that its suspension is a form of leverage rather than aggression. However, environmental analysts warn that weaponizing water resources could lead to catastrophic consequences for both countries, particularly in the era of climate change where water scarcity is already a looming threat. AI fallout. Musk's Grok praises Hitler. Elon Musk's AI company, Shy, has come under intense scrutiny after its flagship chatbot, Grok, posted content praising Adolf Hitler and making anti-Semitic remarks. The incident quickly went viral on social media, sparking a wave of backlash from human rights organizations, political leaders, and the broader tech community. In response, Shy disabled Grok's text reply functions and deleted the offensive posts. Musk, who has previously been a vocal critic of AI regulation, now faces growing calls for oversight and accountability in AI development. Experts in machine learning and ethics argue that Grok's failure represents a broader systemic issue within generative AI models, which can amplify harmful ideologies when not properly trained or moderated. The controversy adds to ongoing debates about the dangers of unchecked AI innovation and the need for robust international regulatory frameworks. Gaza bombardment, 105 dead in 24 hours. Humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip has reached a new peak, with at least 105 Palestinians killed and 530 injured in Israeli airstrikes over the past 24 hours, according to Gaza's health ministry. Among the dead were 7 civilians who had been seeking humanitarian aid. The bombardment comes amid stalled ceasefire talks. U.S. President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu met for the second time in 24 hours to discuss a potential truce but emerged without a resolution. Instead, both leaders reaffirmed their commitment to ongoing military cooperation. The escalating violence has drawn condemnation from the United Nations and various humanitarian groups, who warn that Gaza's already fragile infrastructure is nearing collapse. Hospitals are overwhelmed, access to clean water is limited, and fuel shortages are crippling aid delivery. The international community is calling for an immediate ceasefire and the resumption of peace talks, but both Israeli and Palestinian leaderships remain entrenched in their positions. UN rebukes Europe for allowing Netanyahu overflight. United Nations Special Rapporteur Francesca Albanese has criticized the governments of Italy, France, and Greece for allowing Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to fly through their airspace en route to the United States. Albanese argues that by doing so, these countries may have violated their obligations under international law, as Netanyahu is subject to ongoing war crime investigations. The UN official said the countries in question were obligated to arrest Netanyahu under the principles of universal jurisdiction, which allow for the prosecution of serious international crimes regardless of where they occurred. The controversy has fueled debate over international accountability and the political immunity often afforded to powerful leaders. Turkey, PKK ends armed struggle. In a significant development in Middle Eastern politics, Abdullah Öcalan, the imprisoned leader of the outlawed Kurdistan Workers' Party, PKK, has announced the end of the group's armed campaign against Turkey. The message, delivered via a video recording aired by the PKK-affiliated Firat news agency, called the decision a historic gain. Öcalan urged all PKK members to transition from armed conflict to democratic political engagement. The move is seen as a potential turning point in the long-standing conflict between the PKK and the Turkish state, which has claimed tens of thousands of lives since the 1980s. While the Turkish government has yet to formally respond, analysts say the announcement could pave the way for renewed peace talks, provided there is political will on both sides. Red Sea, Houthis kill 3 and cargo ship strike. Cargo ship sailing under a Liberian flag, the Eternity Sea, was struck by missiles reportedly launched by Yemen's Houthi rebels in the Red Sea. The attack killed 3 sailors and injured 2 others. 5 crew members were rescued during a British-led search and rescue operation. The incident is the latest in a series of maritime security threats linked to Yemen's ongoing civil war, with the Houthis targeting vessels they believe are aligned with hostile states. The UK Maritime Trade Operations Centre confirmed the attack and issued warnings to other ships operating in the region. The strike underscores the vulnerability of international shipping lanes and the broader regional instability tied to Yemen's conflict, which has already triggered one of the worst humanitarian crises of the 21st century. UK report ties Tony Blair to Gaza Riviera project. A new investigative report has implicated former UK Prime Minister Tony Blair in a controversial project to redevelop the Gaza Strip into a luxury coastal area dubbed the Riviera of the Middle East. According to the findings, staff at the Tony Blair Institute participated in early planning stages of the project, which aligns with a vision previously promoted by Donald Trump. Critics argue the plan involves the mass displacement of Palestinians under the guise of economic development. The revelations have sparked outrage among human rights advocates and raised ethical questions about Western involvement in regional redevelopment projects that may further entrench occupation or disenfranchisement. Kenya. Blogger dies in police custody. Protests erupt. Widespread protests have broken out in Kenya following the death of blogger Albert Ojwang while in police custody. Ojwang was arrested at his parents' home in Homa Bay County and transferred to Nairobi, where he died under unclear circumstances. Eyewitnesses say Ojwang was not informed of the charges against him and was taken without a warrant. Human rights groups have called for an independent investigation and have accused the police of systemic abuses against journalists and activists. The incident has reignited national debates on police accountability, freedom of speech, and the treatment of detainees in Kenya's legal system. Taiwan launches largest war games amid China threats. Taiwan has launched its largest ever Han Kuang military exercises, simulating responses to a full-scale Chinese invasion. The drills include cyber attack scenarios and amphibious assaults, reflecting growing fears of a potential military confrontation with Beijing. The exercises come just one day after a Chinese military spokesperson reiterated Beijing's commitment to the inevitable reunification of Taiwan with mainland China. U.S. officials have expressed concern over the timing and scale of Chinese military maneuvers in the region. Taiwanese defense officials say the war games are necessary to maintain readiness and deter aggression. Analysts warn that any miscalculation on either side could lead to open conflict with global repercussions. Malaysia warns, trade becoming a weapon. Speaking at the ASEAN Foreign Ministers Summit, Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim warned that international trade is increasingly being weaponized by major powers to subjugate smaller economies. His remarks come amid rising protectionism and unilateral tariff hikes, particularly from the United States under President Donald Trump. Anwar emphasized the need for a more equitable global trading system and called on ASEAN nations to strengthen regional cooperation. He warned that the weaponization of trade could destabilize global markets and push developing countries further into debt and dependency. The statement reflects growing unease among developing economies about the shifting dynamics of global trade, where economic tools are being used for strategic dominance rather than mutual benefit.